Is that it? Was that all the housekeeping I was meant to do? Thank you very much. Super. Agenda get through today. I think last time I'd asked if anybody wants to add anything to this, then to please let us know. We've got a wonderful presentation later on from Laura Abbas and Sian on Cancer Navigators, so thank you very much for putting your hands up. Hopefully we've got a fairly different sort of agenda for you today, and it should be so I'll start off with some of the fairly boring housekeeping-y stuff, and then we'll go on to the more interesting things. Next one, please, Kevin. So I don't know how you guys are all feeling. I think I had a bit of a moment last week of, oh God, not again, with COVID numbers rising, and it felt, I think I had probably a bit of a bad week where I thought, oh gosh, it's just, you know, we're never getting anywhere. It's really, really hard at the minute. And so I thought I'd jot down some of the things that I've been thinking about and trying to keep my motivation levels up, that we are doing a brilliant job and we have achieved things over the last year, 18 months, 2 years now, isn't it, nearly? So I just sort of jotted some of them down. I think it's really important, and I've heard a few people say it, that we've survived. And I think we're probably a bit hard for thinking that that's not an achievement. Actually, it is. It's been a really, really tough 18 months, to say nearly 2 years now, and you know, not only have we had our normal day jobs to do, we've had to cope with you know, and everything with it. So I think please just congratulate yourselves, your teams, and remember that surviving and still being here and still keeping going and turning up every day is absolutely enough. So yeah, please be thankful of that. There's a few things there that I've just noted down that sound quite simple, and a few words next to a bullet point sort of doesn't really give them justice. So what we track on a daily basis is how much activity, so how many outpatient appointments, how many patients are we admitting for surgery, for chemotherapy, for radiotherapy, and how are we compared to what we were before the pandemic hit. And in all of our areas, we are doing the same levels of activities we were pre-COVID, or actually in a lot of them, we're doing more than we were. And that will help us reduce our backlog of patients waiting. In most of our cancer services, we've managed to reduce all those backlogs, and we're admitting people within the week, 2 weeks that we would normally admit people for treatments. We've got a cohort, I think there's 52 patients currently who have waited over 2 years for treatment, so 104 weeks in urology. This is benign surgery, and our focus now for the new year is to really try and get those patients in for their surgery and to try and reduce those waiting lists. But actually our waiting lists in all areas have reduced, even those really long waiters in urology, and it's really rubbish for those patients to have waited so long. But we are reducing them really slowly, but it's still a downward trend. And I think particularly for those staff, and I will mention our urology bookers, to have to book patients and then ring them and cancel them and then rebook them and then ring them and cancel them is a really, really tough job. So a massive thank you to all of you who do those sorts of jobs for us. We are getting there. And yes, it's slowly, but we really are getting there. Another fantastic achievement, we've maintained 45% of our outpatient appointments being virtual. And this is great from a number of reasons. It reduces our footfall on site, so it means that we're just slightly protecting our staff and our patients from a COVID perspective. But actually, a lot of our patients don't need to spend an hour trying to get to Addenbrooke's, pay the £7, £10 parking charge that it costs you to park here, sit in an outpatient environment that's probably running behind, dare I say. People can have virtual appointments, and we've got some really good quality virtual appointments now. So you know, it does help our patients as well. So it's fantastic that we're seeing that figure maintained. Up until a meeting I've had this morning, our sickness levels and our turnover levels had reduced. They've slightly spiked. Obviously in winter we always get more sickness. But it really shows that, you know, our staff are in work. We're managing to keep without massive levels of sickness. Turnover is how we record the number of people leaving and the number of new starters. So people are not leaving at a higher rate than we've got new people starting. And we've recruited some really fantastic people over the last 18 months, 2 years to join our directorate, which is fantastic. So we must be a fantastic place to start to work. I know in a lot of our teams that are probably the smaller teams where you have 1 or 2 vacancies, you really feel the pain of that, and you know, having any gaps are difficult. Lots of our specialist nurses teams have been asked to go and help out on the wards and day units and things, and it's really tough, but we are still recruiting new people, so I think that's a good positive. And we've actually started some new services over the last 18 months, as if we didn't have anything else to do. So the urology service has been commissioned to provide mesh surgery, and haematology have been commissioned to provide something called TTP, which please do not make me pronounce what that is in full, because I can't say it, but I'm sure somebody will know the answer and be able to pronounce it. And just really to say, we are so proud of everyone in the Directorate. Everything that you do, even just turning up in the morning, that's good enough for us. Thank you very much. You really are a fantastic team to work with, and so we're very proud and very thankful of you all. So please make sure you take a minute today and just remember that and remind yourselves. Thank you very much. Next one, please, Kevin. So you might remember this from a couple of briefings ago. These next two slides are the list of things that we said we were going to do in 21-22 financial year. There was an awful lot on these lists, and we probably were a little over ambitious in terms of what we wanted to achieve, but a lot of these had been delayed from the previous year, so we really wanted to make sure we could complete them. And what I've tried to do is to rate down the side there as to whether we're on track or whether we've completed some of these things. Red is that we are behind or haven't started. Amber is we're on track. Sorry, we've started them, but we're a little bit delayed in terms of the timescales. And green is either that we're on track, or for some of them they've been completed. For those of you that wanted to know what TTP stood for, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up from the bottom, and I'll let you pronounce it by yourselves. So hopefully this is a good, and for those of you that work in these particular areas, you'll be able to see where we're up to with certain things. I don't think there was anything I particularly wanted to point out there. We've obviously struggled over the last year or so with having a gap in our lead cancer nurse role, which with Lisa being off, it's fantastic that Lisa will be back with us and has already sort of started a phased return. So hopefully we can pick up some of the areas around late effects clinics and stuff that we wanted to do. Do you want to go on to the next one, Kevin, please? Thank you. And this is just the sort of last of those two, last of the lists. Again, I think there's been some fantastic work done on a lot of these things, and even the amber ones are very nearly finished, hopefully, and we can soon turn those green. But I think it's, you know, a massive achievement to everybody involved that we've managed to do so much, even if we are a little bit behind on certain areas. So thank you for everyone who's been involved in those. Do you want to do the next one? So for those of you that remember, back in September, we announced that we'd won a You Made a Difference award as a directorate. And this is for every single one of us across the directorate, due to the fantastic work that we've done over the course of the pandemic. I think I reported last time that we were going to get everybody a little pin badge with a You Made a Difference and the logo that's on the screen there. Our plans were slightly scuppered because the trust decided to do the COVID star, so we were told we weren't allowed to do a pin badge, or we'd steal their thunder. So we've actually gone ahead and we've got some new lanyards for everybody, just as a small token, and they were due to be delivered last week and have been delayed, so I'm really hopeful that they will arrive today as planned and I can get them out to everybody. So you'll get a small thank you card and a new lanyard for teams, or a pulley thing, whatever they're called. Some people can't have lanyards. Just as a small thank you, and we've used the words of the You Made a Difference nomination in the thank you card, so you can all remind yourselves how fantastic you are and what you've contributed over the last 18 months. They will come out so individually to you all. I'm hopeful over the next few weeks. Obviously it might be a bit delayed with Christmas period, but you should receive one. That was my boring updates. I will just mention before we move on to Carrie, before I forget, that last week there were some ACT hampers, the Christmas hampers that come around from ACT. I think some were delivered to some teams. I've got 25 to deliver today, so please don't think that you've been missed off the list. I think a lot of areas didn't quite get them, and normally our far-flung offices didn't get them last week, so I will try and do the rounds this afternoon. If you are worried that you've been completely forgotten, please drop a message in the chat and I will make sure I get something to you later on today. That's all my sticky notes, and I will hand over to Carrie and Elaine, I think, to talk about the Cancer Hospital.
Great, thank you very much, Claire, and thank you for having this the Directorate briefing again. I'm going to say a few words and then I'm going to hand over to Elaine. Hopefully I've met quite a lot of you, but I'm conscious I've probably not met everyone. So I'm Carrie Symington and I work in the oncology team on the Cambridge Cancer Research Hospital project, along with Elaine and with the team based in major projects. to try and progress this project. Can you move it on, Kevin? Thank you very much. So you will have all heard the good news about the strategic outline case announcement, which was really well publicised throughout the trust, but also in the local media. We had some great interviews with our patients and some of the clinicians involved. The strategic outline case approval was long awaited. So we've done a lot of the work for that last year and before, but really great to get it approved and get this endorsement from government and a commitment around, or the first line of commitment around the money that central government will be putting towards this project. There are inevitably more hurdles still to go, so we continue to work on the outline business case with an anticipation that we will submit that in the spring, and we've done most of the work around that, and many of you have been extremely helpful in helping us to develop the elements we needed to include there. Next year, and some of the timeframes around this are still a little to be confirmed, but next year we will start to work on what is the third element of the business case, the full business case, and that's really where we will start to set out in really quite specific detail how exactly we will use this building, and we will start to look at room by room plans of in the design process. We've already started to move our thinking in that direction to some of our departmental working groups, and those groups are very much designed to help us get ready for that full business case stage. But overall, we're still looking at the same timeframes of 2026 for this building to open, if we can pass these remaining hurdles. Thank you, Kevin. So I thought I'd just touch on some of the things that we've been doing over the last 3 or 4 months. There is a lot of work going on various aspects of the Cambridge Cancer Research Hospital. A big part of what we've been doing recently is around developing our activity and capacity models, and that's trying to really specifically identify the exact activity which will take place in this building, and to be reassured that it will fit in the spaces that we have designed. So we've done a lot of work on that, but there is more still to do. The digital strategy has been a piece of work which has been led by the Addenbrooke's 3 project, so a bit broader than just cancer, so it includes cancer and children's as well as the wider Addenbrooke's 3, with an aim of setting out what our digital future might look like for the new hospitals, what the priorities might be, and where the trust should concentrate to get the most benefits. So that piece of work is concluding now, and we should be able to see the results of that in the new year. But we had some great involvement from some of our clinical teams and also from our patients, particularly in that piece of work. But it really is quite a high level strategy, and part of the work we will do next year is to start to put some more detail on that, to think about what's digital in this new hospital will really look like. I'm really pleased that a number of you probably on this call have been involved in our internal environment group, we call it the environment design group, and in this group we started to look at what the trust will actually look like, what will the look and feel of this building be. I've put one of the architect's interior drawings on the slide here. So we're starting to get an idea now of what this building might look like. We've had lots of great comments and feedback about that. So after Christmas, again, we will see that taking shape a bit more, and it brings the building clearly a little bit more to life. We know we've got more work to do on our pathways, which is work we started back in the summer, and that's something, again, that we will continue to develop after Christmas. And as ever, we continue to engage with all the other organisations outside of Addenbrooke's, with our primary care partners, and other hospitals, particularly in trying to work with them to figure out what benefits we can share with those external partners as we build this new hospital. The other three, we're going to the departmental working groups, the workforce element and the patient co-production, we're going to come on to in a minute. Could you just move us on one, please, Kevin? Thank you. So I wanted to touch on the departmental working groups, particularly because I think this is, it's nice to understand how we're developing our ideas around how these areas will work operationally. We've got 4 groups running at the moment: the ground floor, the outpatient floor, the day units, and the inpatients. On the ground floor, we've really been focused around thinking about the holistic pathway. What will that look like? How do we lay out on that ground floor the services that patients can access? And we have identified there are probably some things we need to change on that ground floor. So we've been trying to specify exactly how we see that area working better. We've also done a piece of work around reception areas and patient flow to give us some ideas about how we might use those waiting spaces and move patients through the building. The outpatient work is focused on trying to identify what outpatient activity is definitely moving and how that might flow through the area. We know we've got some work to do. Well, our next stage will be to look at how we use those, what we're going to call base rooms, as part of outpatients, and particularly around the procedure space, which will be urology and gynae oncology use. We've still got more thinking to do day units wise about the nursing model, and that will help us to figure out the areas and how we're going to use that quite large space. And similarly, inpatients, we know we want to do some thinking about the single room model, and we've started some of those conversations with the Ops Centre and the Rapid Response team in terms of how those functions might be supported in clearly what is a separate building. Okay, thank you, Kevin. Next slide. And I'm just going to hand over to Elaine, who's going to talk about the workforce and our work with patients.
Thank you, Kerry, and thank you for inviting us to give you an update. So myself, Carrie and Amy Taylor, we've been doing some work around workforce. So initially we were working with yourselves and kind of looking at the building to understand in terms of the new location, what do we need in the way of additional workforce numbers. And as we work through the clinical pathways as well, it might be that we start to think about how we might be able to have some innovation and change roles, so thinking around allied healthcare professionals, etc. So we have gone through the early stages now of going for transformation to agree what we think will need to be going into the building and those additional costs and people that are going to be directly affected by that. We're having ongoing conversations with those people about whether they need additional cases or whether that will go in the cost of CCRH. You should have been included, but equally if you feel that you may not have been, then do get in contact with us. And then at a very high level at the moment, we've been working on a workforce strategy, and for those that are involved in the clinical strategies work stream, then the most recent iteration of that policy has come through to you. So please do give us some feedback on that. Really, what we need to do when we're thinking about this building is looking ahead to the future, which have some difficulties around that, because at some point it will need to kind of migrate into business as usual. So working very closely with the cancer senior team about what are the issues now, and then as we move towards the project, when do we need to think about bringing posts in so that they're going to be ready and functioning by the time that the building opens, and also being very attuned to the fact that we know that we've already got workforce issues in terms of clinical nurse specialists, radiotherapy, radiology reporting, etc. So how can we use this building and this opportunity as a way to kind of close some of those gaps? So also thinking about how digital and AI might be able to help us. And so we've put that into the workforce strategy. And behind that, we will have a workforce plan document that will come out of that, that we will then come and engage with different groups of individuals about how we can then make that happen in practice. And then for co-production, so this is an area that I think that we've made really good ground on in the last 6 months. So we now have a patient advisory group, and that meets monthly. So either a business meeting where we go through the patients that are working on particular work streams to have updates from them about how they think it's working, and also plan things that we want to do in the future. And then equally, every other month we have a workforce. We have not a business meeting. Sorry, we have a challenge design group meeting where we ask either clinical teams or operation teams or one of the other work streams to come along and present where they are in their thinking, and giving a wide opportunity for patients to give their feedback. Whilst we've got patients embedded in the majority of these subgroups or work streams, often their voices can be quite diluted because they're trying to compete against a bigger clinical or operation voice. So the design challenge meetings are an area where we can gather much more information in terms of how patients feel about what we're suggesting, and then that is fed back into the other working groups as well, so that we all move together in this journey. One of the aspects that we just think that we're still missing in terms of our patient engagement is a lack of diversity. So we would really be pleased if, when you're meeting patients that might come from diverse backgrounds, that you encourage them to sign up to the Cambridge Cancer Network. And this is being managed by the major projects communication teams, and we will give patients updates on where we are, and also it's an opportunity for us to engage with them and then embed them into certain groups, and also have some particular conversations with people from more diverse backgrounds, because there may be issues around coming into a hospital that we really need to think about for that patient group, so that it's supportive and friendly as it can possibly be. Is there another slide, Carrie?
No, not really.
No. Okay. So there's our contact details. So do kind of keep in contact with us. We've really enjoyed working with you all. We know that you're really stretched because of COVID, etc. So if you're having difficulty with getting to meetings and stuff like that, do give us drop us an email, because we can think about other ways so that we make sure that your voices are really embedded into this, because it's so important that they do, because you're going to be using this building on a day-to-day basis. If you've got questions, I'm sure we can cover them at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Carrie. It's fantastic to see some artist drawings and something that looks real. It's brilliant to see it. So thank you very much. And I think we'll continue to make sure that there is updates through this forum as well, so that hopefully we try and capture everybody with updates, which is brilliant. Thank you. So I think next we're moving on to Laura Abbas and Sian Rose. I'm hopeful I can see you there.
Yes, I think we're here.
Brilliant, wonderful. I will let you go for it then. Thank you.
So yeah, thanks for letting us come along. We just want to, again, I'm quite aware that the Cancer Support Service has had many changes over the last couple of years, but we are actually part of one of your success stories at the start of your slide deck, Claire, really, because we've managed to make so many pilot posts permanent, and we've doubled in size. So as of the new year, we'll have so many posts vacant as part of this change. I really just want to come and make people aware that there's some new opportunities in the Cancer Support Service, and just remind people of what we do, really. So we've actually changed the structure slightly. So we've now got a senior cancer support advisor and a cancer support advisor whose responsibility will be to be the really front of house of the service and be based from the pod. So in years gone by, we've only had one person there, and we've learned over the last couple of years that it only takes that person to be off sick or go off on holiday, and actually we lose our face. And also we really want to make some inroads into the inpatient areas, particularly over the last couple of years. We just want to join up those patients that are up on the inpatient areas and support those wards as well. We've also got more navigator posts, so we've grown the navigator service. We did start with 3 Macmillan funded pilot posts many years ago. We've now got 9 posts in total, and we've got 4 vacant that will go out in January as well. I'll let Sian in a minute explain that role in a bit more detail, but they've proved to be really, really important for the patient pathway, and being just a face at the very start of the pathway. And if they can't get hold of the right person at the right time, particularly if there's a bit of delay in diagnosis and there's screening still continuing, they don't know who the best person to contact for a question is, they've got a navigator. That is a constant. So that's proved invaluable, particularly with COVID and not knowing where to go. We've also got a clinical cancer support specialist who's going to be our band 6. We're recruiting into that one hopefully this week, and that person will again just be in charge of the more complex patients that come through the service. What we've learned is that it has been a bit of a change in the service need over the last couple of years. It may change again, who knows, but we are seeing a lot more social need with our patients, and the need for the cancer support service to be able to engage with West Suffolk, Hinchinbrook, Peterborough, Bedford, all those other areas, to make sure that patients, if they do come to Addenbrooke's, that we are holding them and then transferring them back to the support services that are in their local area as well, as they move to and from services much quicker than they ever did. And also that we're able to be a virtual presence as well. And I'd say if in your virtual appointments, if you want to create a waiting room and have a member of the team there ready and waiting, that gets over that issue that we've had for years, that there isn't a clinic room for the cancer support team to be in next door, but we can be in a virtual waiting room. So if you feel that a patient would really benefit from our service, then please invite us along and we'll make it work. We do a lot of holistic needs assessments, informally and formally, and we just try and make sure that patients have got the right support at the right time, whether that's finances. We still work very closely with our benefits service, who are still working remotely, but still again want to make sure that their service hasn't changed. They are still able to capture patients remotely. But we've also made links with things like local food banks as well. We are seeing that there is an increased social need with patients not able to access what they need and funds that they need. Macmillan has reduced some of what they're able to provide patients, so we're having to try and find other support services and other charities that have popped up. And keeping abreast of all those charities is a never-ending feast. It's constantly changing more than ever as new charities down. Find that local Cambridge patients, but making sure that we are abreast of all of that information in across the region. So I'm hoping with more staff we can have a better understanding, be a bit more of a presence from January onwards. So as regards to a navigator, I'm going to pass on to Sian now. So Sian's been our cancer navigator since last year. She started with this right at the start of the pandemic, so she's got a good understanding of what it was like to come and land in the service and pick up patients. But she could hopefully give you a better understanding of what a navigator does, how they can help you in your service, but also if you know of anybody who you think actually might be really good at being a navigator, you can signpost them to the service or signpost them back to the recording of this and just have a better idea of what we do. So Sian, I can't find you. Where are you?
Oh, I'm here. Yeah, so thank you. Like Laura said, my name's Sian and I work as part of the Cancer Support Service as one of our navigators. And my role really involves providing information and support to patients with regards to all of their non-clinical needs. So this can include things like helping manage their emotional concerns, financial concerns and practical concerns. There's 5 of us currently, but as Laura said, the team is growing. So I currently assist patients who have a skin cancer diagnosis. We also have individuals covering breast, colorectal, prostate, as well as head and neck. Although we do cover specific sites, we're more than happy to help with patients outside of those areas. So if they don't fall under one of them, please do refer them to the service still, and we'll be able to help. So we do really try and work hard to support our patients, and I'd sort of like to provide you with an example of the types of things we're able to do to help assist patients to navigate through their cancer pathway. So the example I'm going to use is a patient that presented to our service after being diagnosed with cancer. So we support patients right from new diagnosis. The patient did explain that they were living in some privately rented accommodation, which was both overcrowded, and they were experiencing some really poor living conditions in that environment. So as a result of the patient's ongoing treatment, they did have to take an extended period of leave from work, and the combined effects of their treatment and their financial and living situations really resulted in this significant emotional toll for the patient. Now, what the navigator was able to do in this situation, they were able to listen to the patient's concerns and assist them to seek the appropriate support for their concerns. So what we did is we helped the patient initially apply for a £350 grant from Macmillan, which the patient used to cover the cost of new clothing as a result of weight loss during treatment. The patient also consented for a Macmillan Benefits Advice Service referral, which Laura mentioned earlier, and the team were able to help them apply for benefits which they're currently in receipt of. As well as this, the patient was able to, we referred the patient onwards for psychological support at the Maggie Centre located on site. So as well as one-to-one emotional support there, they also seek support from support groups, and they continue to receive that support today. As well as this, the navigator was able to liaise with the patient's specialist nurse, and as a result, what we were able to do was escalate the patient's social housing case. So by providing the relevant medical documentation and evidence letters, we were able to get the patient into some council housing, and today they are in council house, which is both safe, warm and clean, and in receipt of benefits and emotional support. We do maintain regular contact with this patient and all of our other patients, so we're able to help them with any other concerns that might pop up through their pathway. And it really is excellent to see the change in our patients and how we can help assist them with their concerns. So as you can see, there's lots of different concerns that we can help a patient with, and we can help the patient through all the way through their pathway. So right at the start, right to up at the end. And the patient could present with lots of concerns like the example that I gave you, or just one. So we're able to help with one or many concerns. And we do also provide site-specific support. So as well as the general support, we are able to signpost and refer onwards to concerns specific to sites. So we do facilitate conversations with patients over the phone and in clinical environments, so the day unit or up on inpatient wards, and we do offer the remote platform should they wish. So if you do identify a patient that requires any extra support, please do make a referral using the EPIC. And I know the details were on Laura's previous slide. But if you'd like to find out more about us or the service and how we can support you and your patients, please do get in contact with us, whether it's just calling or emailing, and one of our team, either myself or any of the other navigators, can help you. And that's a sort of brief rundown of what we can do for you.
Thank you, Sian. That's fantastic to hear, and a really good example of just how valuable your role can be. And I can see lots of our specialist nurses on the screen all nodding their heads to show how fantastic your support and your team support is. So thank you. I think we've also got a little bit of a document that tells you more about the navigator role, which we're going to circulate, aren't we, with the video for this. So yes, if you've got any support workers, admin staff, it's a really varied role, isn't it, as a navigator? And we've struggled over the years to know who to sort of target, who might want to do that job, where it fits. It's not really clinical, it's not really admin, it's a bit of everything, but a fantastic job to be in. So thank you very, very much. Super. Can we have the slide deck back, Kevin, because I've now lost completely where I am. Super, thank you very much. So I will do my usual following that fantastic example. Do you have anything that you want to share? Is there anything that you're proud of that you think other people could learn from? Things that you've achieved that you want to share? Or equally, if you've got something that you think this is a brilliant idea, but I don't know how to do it, we've got resources that can help you, and there's a link on the slides to our Cancer Innovation Station where we can submit things. But please come to us. We really want to hear from you. None of you want to hear me droning on for an hour at these things, so please fill the gaps for us and come and tell us how fantastic it is in your area. Super. So I was hopeful that we might have some questions next. There's nothing in the chat. Come on, you lot. I know that you have more questions than this. I think we had a few submitted beforehand, which Kevin, hopefully you've got.
I have, yeah. So I'll be the questioner again. So I didn't pick up my COVID star last week. I just couldn't get there, or I'm not on site. So how do I get it now?
So I've seen this an awful lot, I think, in all of the trust comms and on the staff Facebook page. I believe there is an email address, which I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what it is, that you need to email, and you can then either arrange collection on another day, or I think they will post it out to you. I think there's been an issue with the amount of emails that email address has been getting and then working through everybody, but I've been assured that as long as you have sent it to that email address, and we can find what it is and put it in the briefing on Wednesday, you should be able to pick up your COVID star. I'm hopeful for those of you that did manage to get there last week before last, whenever it was, that it was a fantastic thing to go and collect, and it certainly was a lot more than I was expecting when I rushed in rather quickly to collect mine and wasn't expecting the pomp and circumstance that was there. It was lovely.
Okay, so is there any news on what, how and when bleeps will be replaced?
Oh, so I don't know if I fully know the answer to this one. For those of you that remember a while ago, the Epic Secure Chat has been introduced as a so hopefully that lots of you have used the Epic Secure Chat. I know certainly I find it very effective for nagging doctors, so apologies to those medics that I have been nagging, but please use Epic Secure Chat, give it a go. Anybody who's got access to Epic can use it, and it's basically a WhatsApp, but it's secure, and you can link it to patients if you're obviously talking about a patient. If you're just messaging someone and saying I'll meet you outside Marks and Spencer's for a coffee, then equally you can do that on there. But it is a fantastic system. I think the issue that we've got with bleeps currently is those what we call baton bleeps. So those where they are passed between, say, a team of registrars, our bed managers, those sorts of things. And I think there is a solution, but I don't quite know what the answer is yet. I did get an email last week on it, but it wasn't wholly clear. So as soon as we know, we will let you know. But at the minute, if you have got one of those baton bleeps, please hang on to it, and we will come round to you with a solution. But I would encourage you all to have a go at Epic Secure Chat. And again, we can circulate the information if you don't know what it is and how to access it.
If I don't want to do that on my phone?
So if you, so you need to think about what you really want. So for me personally, carrying 2 mobile phones around with me is an absolute pain. And yes, I don't really want work on my personal phone all the time, because I don't particularly want to be contacted at 10 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever it might be. But having 2 mobile phones for me would be an absolute nightmare. I'm bound to leave one somewhere. So I've made the decision that I will install it on my personal phone, but you can switch it off. You can turn your notifications off. You can put out of offices on it so that you don't get contacted at 2 o'clock in the morning. There is now an option that you can set your out of office like you do on your emails. So you can limit the contact that you have on it. It needs a bit of playing around with, and obviously it depends on what you prefer personally. If you really don't want it on your personal phone and you do want to have a second mobile phone, we need to look at purchasing those for people, but they will be what I call the old-fashioned brick phones. They won't be a nice brand new iPhone, just in case any of you fancy a new phone. It will be a very old looking phone, so and it will only probably work for very limited purposes. So talk to your managers about it, see what works best for you, but I would recommend just having a play with things and seeing what works best for you. It will be different for everybody.
Okay, so I've got 2 more. I won't throw any more in. I've been told I need to work off site. I don't want to. I don't have the equipment. I can't access Boyd. Do I have to do it? And what do I do?
So I guess nobody has to do anything. We are at the minute encouraging people to work from home if they can. So obviously we need to really reduce footfall on site again, and that's to protect our staff and our patients. We've been fantastic as a directorate at working from home, and I think for lots of teams it's really worked for them. We've seen sickness levels reduce. We've seen much happier teams, and I would really encourage people to do that if you possibly can. If you've got a role where you need to be on site, absolutely you need to be on site, but you need to be in a safe environment, so you need to be wearing a mask and being distanced from other people. I know particularly I will mention our CNS office that over the years has had more people crammed in it than is ideal. You know, we really need to make sure we're not doing that and that we are protecting our staff as much as possible. Some people don't want to work from home. You might have young children at home, or you might not have an environment that you particularly want to work in, and that's absolutely fine, but we need to be able to find you somewhere on site that is safe for you to work and not sitting on someone else's knee because we don't have enough space for you. So again, please talk to your manager, see what's appropriate. If it's things like needing laptops or a chair at home or whatever it might be to help you work from home, we can try and do that. There is still a delay on getting laptops in for staff. I can't remember where we're up to, but there's certainly in the 50, 60 laptops that we're still waiting for to come through. So that is the issue, and that's a trust-wide issue with the supply of laptops. But if you've got a special chair at work to support, you know, your posture, absolutely we can get you chairs at home or whatever needs to help you be at home. Say some people find it, I certainly get more work done when I'm at home than I do on site, and some people find it beneficial. To other people it's the worst thing in the world, and that's absolutely fine.
And just to say, on the Boyd front, there's no issues with getting Boyd. I know last year we had problems and we were getting you all to come through us.
Absolutely.
You don't need to do that. You should just be able to apply. But if it's been a few weeks and you haven't got anywhere, let us know and we'll try and assist. But you should be able to apply for Boyd.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, certainly any new staff that have started, I'd get on straight away with IT and get people BYOD set up if they are a role that can work from home. You know, let's not wait. And you know, if you've got staff that are isolating that are well and want to be able to continue working from home, absolutely they can if they've got BYOD access. You know, we've got clinicians who are doing clinics from home. Again, as long as you are in a confidential environment and it's obviously appropriate to be doing clinics from home, you know, you're not sat in the middle of your house with your family all around you, then you can absolutely make patient phone calls from home. Just make sure obviously you're protecting your mobile number if it's your personal mobile number, and say that you're in a confidential environment.
Last one, can we have a Christmas buffet in the staff room or a meeting room or somewhere where we can be a bit distanced and have a little
I knew
party?
you'd make me be a Christmas grump at some point or other.
Come on, Grinch.
So I'm really, really sorry. So for me, who doesn't like Christmas do's, I will out it. I'm really sorry, but no, we can't be doing Christmas parties, Christmas lunches, whatever you count as your social gathering. Obviously, people still need to eat their lunch, but you really, really must ensure that you are maintaining that social distance and you're not cramming a team of 20 in a small staff room to have a little nibbles and a bit of a party. I know I'm a grump for saying that, but we cannot have whole teams of people having to isolate because one of you's got COVID and it's spread. And I know that's really miserable, and this is the second year of me being grumpy. But please make it sure, you know, absolutely, if you want to sort of, you know, spend and have lunch and have, you know, 2 or 3 of you in the staff room, that you can maintain social distancing and do it that way. But certainly sitting at your desk, bringing food in, sharing food, that sort of thing, just please no.
Cheese and wine?
Cheese and wine, no, or pizzas or whatever Boris has done. That's it makes me poor Boris. But yes, please just really try and be sensible. And I know it's miserable, and I know that Zoom parties, we're having a Zoom Kevin Christmas quiz. I will, you know, offer him out to all services if you want a Kevin Christmas quiz. That gets you back. Yeah, absolutely, birthdays, absolutely everything. It's really hard. I know it is. We all want to let our head down and have a bit of a celebration, but please just think about your patients and your colleagues and try and do them virtually. Is that it for questions?
Yeah, Hugo's put the recognition at adambrooks.nhs.uk email in the group chat. Thank you, Hugo.
Thank you, Hugo. Much appreciated. Where did I get up to with my slides? I've lost my place again.
CPPG.
Oh, okay. So tissues at the ready, everybody. So I attended a Cancer Patient Partnership Group meeting a few weeks ago, and all of our fantastic patients wanted to do something to say thank you to you all. And they talked about, can they organise an event? Can they buy us something? What could they do? And obviously with restrictions at the minute, it's a really difficult thing to try and support them and to sort of give them an idea of what they can do. They were all so lovely to me and actually made me quite emotional with their thank yous. And so my suggestion was just to say thank you to us. And rather than doing it through me or on a bit of paper, they've filmed themselves on a Zoom call. It's very real. It's not the best filming in the world, but hopefully you'll see that it's very real and very genuine. And apologies in advance if it makes any of you slightly emotional in the morning, because it certainly did me. So hopefully we can let it play for you.
Yeah, I'm hoping this will work.
Our Cancer Patient Partnership Group has compiled a quick thank you from us and from all patients for the moments you've been there for us as part of our cancer care. Thank you. We don't always get a chance to say it, but we notice you and you make a difference to us.
I noticed the other day when walking from the main hospital to outpatients that one wall was partially covered with written messages of thanks from the patients to the staff for their skill, help, knowledge, compassion, and so on. And I thought, how wonderful. And now we get the opportunity to say these sentiments in person.
Ever since COVID and the lockdown in March 2020, I have received 3 sessions of targeted radiotherapy and 2 rounds of chemo, and I continue to receive 3 weekly antibody injections. Despite the staff shortages and the demands of PPE, I never once felt I didn't count. The staff were also friendly, smiling, and treated me not only as a human being, as opposed to a malignant cell, but were also kind, engaging, and never displayed any irritation at the conditions they were working under. I never felt under pressure, and I have no complaints if my appointment didn't run to time. I would also like to thank you all, from the receptionists, to the nurses, to the HCAs, and yes, to the cleaner, for your good nature and coping under such difficult conditions.
This is my personal experience. I well remember the first day I attended my chemotherapy course at the hospital, following major cancer surgery. I was apprehensive about the visit, but soon put at ease after receiving a warm welcome from the understanding receptionist, followed by a prompt greeting from a senior, very kind nurse who assured me that I would have a lovely day and be well supported by her and the staff whilst I was there. How right she was, as I was looked after so well both then and throughout my 6 months of treatment. Outstanding kindness and service. Thank you, Adam Brooks, so much. I really appreciate it.
When I was in hospital with neutropenic sepsis, prognosis wasn't looking good. I was upset, and I remember it was 1:30 a.m. and I'm sitting on the edge of my bed crying and distraught when a lovely nurse came and sat beside me, held my hand and comforted me. In between looking after everyone, she kept coming to see me all throughout her shift. I was amazed that she was caring for lots of patients, but still had time to comfort me throughout the night. I will never forget that act of kindness.
My husband noticed that the staff were concerned to protect his dignity whilst crossing the corridor by giving him 2 gowns, one to wear open at the back and the second to wear open at the front. The staff were unfailingly friendly, reassuring and efficient, telling him what to expect at every stage. All his appointments, both by telephone and face-to-face, have happened in a timely manner under the 2-week wait urgent referral system.
I noticed that you were very helpful and very patient when I'd done the usual thing of forgotten to find out and retain the address of the nurse that I was looking for, to find out how to get to her clinic. It took a long time for me to explain to you what my problems were, and I'd not received an appointment, and I needed some help. But first, the student came to my assistance and told me who I should be contacting, and then found out all about it. And then later on, you showed me how to find the relevant person in an automatic way through looking at the various material that was around in the hospital. So many, many thanks for your patience and for your ingenuity in helping to make it easier for me to find the clinics that I needed to attend. I was always worried that I would be there late or I wouldn't be able to find them, and knowing how helpful you had been gave me a great deal of reassurance.
None of what you do every day with compassion and dedication and skill, and kindness, when I hear your explanations and answers and reassurances again and again, noticed my vulnerability and helped me turn my anxiety into manageable molehills. Thank you.
I noticed how you cared for me with kindness in all circumstances, using your grace and good humour, honestly answering my questions, regularly checking in and sharing a much needed late night cup of tea. I noticed no matter the limitations, you never gave up, so neither did I. Thank you all.
I noticed that staff made my husband feel very informed on his journey by their caring nature and professionalism. I thank you. I thank you for making him welcome. We're very grateful.
Thank you all so much, every single one of you, for being there for us through all of this. We noticed you, and we're so glad you noticed us. Have the warmest holiday season and a happy new year.
Sorry to do that to you all on a Monday morning. I don't think I can possibly add anything to what CPPG have said other than thank you all very, very much. Hope you all have a wonderful Christmas break, whatever you're doing over the next few weeks. Please try and get some downtime. And I will see you all in the new year. Thank you very, very much. Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas, everyone.